Okay, perfect. So you guys are here because you're interested in the intern/trainee visas. So these visas that we do have for lots of different jobs, which you had the meeting with Alberto for last week. These ones are a little bit different because these roles are or have already been found for you. So these jobs are available. Some are actually available for the next month to 3 months time. So ready for 2023. And we have lots of others that are for 2024 and 2025. So the sponsorship that we're working with, they have up to 300 visas per year, working in hotels like the Marriott, or lots of other well-known hotels based in the US. A lot of them are based in Miami, so very similar weather to lots of parts of Mexico. So a bit, so by the beach, very, very nice. And we're going to kind of go over the different roles that we have available, but also what the program includes, like fees and the benefits as well. Let's have a look. So the intern trainee program is a cultural exchange program. So the same as the summer camps. It's under the same visa of the J1 visa, but this one is just a longer term visa. So they have from 6 months to 12 months for the hospitality and tourism visas. With the other visas like engineering or medical care, those visas go up to 18 months, but the ones we're offering right now are for 12 months, up to 12 months. So each program that we have is an hourly paid program, and it includes a full outlined training plan. So towards the end, we'll look at the training plan too. But what this visa is to do, it's to help you kind of grow in the industry that you work for already, like tourism or hospitality, like working in hotels mostly. And what it can do is they have lots of like management training programs. They put you in different areas. So you're not going to be in the same place the whole time. They can train people for the front desk. There's lots of culinary ones. So if anybody has experience working in kitchens and things like that, they also have programs for that too. So they also look at kind of leadership goals, cultural goals that you'd like to do. And the hotels are all 4 or 5-star hotels. I believe with this sponsorship, they're 5-star hotels. So they're very nice. Perfect. Some people just joining. So what are going to be the benefits? Well, you get to live and gain experience in the United States for up to 12 months. You'll be able to make new friends and network with other professionals in the hospitality industry, including you'll be able to get lots of references from 5-star hotels in the United States. So when you go back to Mexico, I know lots of people here work in tourism. They work in like the Riviera Maya. So if you go back home after a year and you have a glowing reference from a 5-star hotel like the Marriott, it's going to lead to better job opportunities here in Mexico afterwards. It's also learning to be an independent young professional, maybe for some of our younger members here, people who are still at university, because it's not the same as the summer camps. For those who went to the summer camps, you don't live in the hotel. There are some hotels which are kind of isolated where you do, but most of our programs, you don't live there. You're going to be renting a place, paying bills, all of those things that you do at home, which have good and bad things to it. But unlike the camps, after work, you're completely independent. You don't have to like stay somewhere. You can go out, see friends. You have 2 days off per week, so you can travel around. And at the end of the program, you have a 30-day extension for traveling around the US as well. Working as teams in diverse cultures. There'll be people from all over the world. So the sponsorship that we're working with right now, they hire lots of people from Europe and Asia. So right now they're expanding to Mexico and hopefully Latin America too. rest of Latin America. So because they're really interested right now in having Spanish speakers. As I'm sure a lot of you know, in like Miami, there's a very high population of people who have Spanish as their first language. So they're really interested in people who can speak Spanish fluently, which I believe most of us here can. So you receive a minimum of 32 hours per week. There are opportunities to have overtime as well, but those aren't guaranteed. The 32 hours are guaranteed. You're going to have an hourly pay. The hourly pay is around, depending on the role, $17 to $20 per hour. We do have some placements which offer accommodation, and for the ones that offer accommodation, the salary is lower, close to $12 to $15 per hour, but then you don't have to pay for accommodation. You'll be able to practice your English. You don't need to be a native speaker, absolutely fluent. If you've been in the summer camp for 3 months, that should be a good enough level for the role. Just of course practice hotel vocabulary before you go. And yeah, you can travel. Sorry, I teach children a lot, so I make those sounds as well. So we've got the J1 intern eligibility requirements. So this is for the intern visa. So these are for people who are at university or who are close to graduating. They graduated within 1 year. And they've done a full-time or a non-vocational degree in hospitality, tourism, or culinary arts, things kind of related to those areas. And you're up to 1 year after you graduate. So what does a typical intern look like? They're typically around over 20 years old. They studied culinary arts, food production, tourism management, hotel management, something similar to that. They're looking to gain industry experience. They want to learn about other cultures and other backgrounds. They're prepared to wait. So the program can take up to 3 months for you to qualify. So once we interview you and check you have the experience, you have an interview with us, our sponsor as well. And then you'll have an interview with the hotel and things like that. So it should take around 3 months normally. They can do it a little bit faster, but normally 3 months is the appropriate amount of time to do it. And it's saying to have a savings around $5,000. Now, the reason for this is because of your program fees, your flights, and if you are renting somewhere, to have the first 2 months rent available. Don't worry, that they're going to help with finding places. The sponsorship we're working with have lots of agencies in the US around the areas the hotels are, so they'll be able to match you with roommates and make sure it's in a safe place if you would like to. Of course, if you have like family or friends, you're welcome to do it on your own, but that's just something that they offer as well. So that's why they'd like to have around $5,000 in savings to pay for all of those fees. Now, the trainee visa is probably the one that a lot of you are more interested in. For this one, you do need a degree or 5 years experience. Okay, so say you've worked in a hotel for 5 years and you can speak English very well, or you've been to the summer camp to practice your English, perfect. You don't need to have a degree. If you do have a degree, then you need to have at least 1 year of experience doing that role. So if you have, for example, studied culinary, so to be a chef, and then you've worked in a kitchen for 1 year, then you would qualify for the trainee visa too. Or having 5 years full-time experience. So if you've worked in tourism for 5 years, but you don't have a degree, that's absolutely fine too. So a typical trainee is over 23 years old. They've graduated from one of these places, or they have 5 years experience. And you must have 12 months full-time recent experience in this area. So for example, if you're interested in hospitality and you've worked at the front desk of like a call center or maybe like a hospital, that's not quite transferable. It would have to be working in a hospitality industry. And again, have the savings too. So these are the program fees. These are from the sponsorship themselves. So for 6 months, it's $3,095. And for 12 months, it's $3,745. Now, that is a very big step up from the summer camp, but the contracts are for 12 months and you should be earning from $2,000 to $2,500 per month once you start. So it's kind of like 6 weeks of working and it would cover your program costs overall. With these, I have spoken to them and they said you don't have to pay them all up front. What they can do instead is when you have your first interview with our sponsorship, what they will do is if you're interested in the program, they will just take a $200 fee just to show that you're interested and that you're going to stick with the program. And then the rest of it, you can kind of pay a little bit at a time or just before you get your DS. It won't be DS 2019. I have it here, the exact DS form, but the DS form you need for when you go to the embassy. Like you have the DS 2019 for the summer camp, it's another DS form for this program. So you just need to pay the full fee before you get that. So sometimes it takes up to 3 months. So hopefully that gives people more time to be able to pay in installments rather than upfront. So they did agree to that when I asked. Now, here it is, DS 7002. So this is included in the price to take part in the embassy interview, so your DS form. Hourly paid training position with a full outline of the training, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. Travel insurance, housing options, which each placement might be different, but they say normally it tries to have like four people living in an apartment with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, that kind of thing. And they also offer 24/7 emergency support, program assistance, and much more whilst you're in the USA. So they don't just find you the job in the US and are like, bye, enjoy your 12 months, hope nothing goes wrong. They're there for you if you need any help, as we are as well. Now, T4H is the sponsor that we're working with. They provide workshops and offer guidance and best practice before you go as well, okay? So before you leave. And the application process can take up to 3 months, which includes your initial screening, resume assistance, workshops, interview performance. So they help you practice before you have the interview. You have a mock interview with the sponsor as well beforehand. And of course, we will help you with your CV and prepare you for your interview with the sponsor. And then the sponsor will prepare you for your interview with the hotel. Okay, so you'll have lots of support and help and training before you go on to the next step. They also offer you feedback and support as well. So the $200 application fee is due after the initial screening that was mentioned here. Okay, your initial screening. That's when the $200 application fee, which is non-refundable, will be given. We'll be sent out that invoice because it's a very expensive for the sponsors and for us too, to go through the process to start with. So they just want to make sure people are serious. And I want you all to really think about it too before you apply, if this is something that you're interested in, because it will take a lot of work from your side, from our side, from the sponsor's side, and you don't want to be wasting your money by applying and then not really sure that you want to do it. So really think about it before you apply, if that's something that you want to do. Now, this amount is included in the amount mentioned under program fees, but it's not refundable. So this is included in the $3,000 to $3,700, depending on if you want to go for 6 months to 12 months. Oh, so other fees that you should budget for: your return flight to the US host location, which if lots of people are based in Miami, that shouldn't be too bad from most airports in Mexico. Housing deposit. So typically you need to have 1 to 2 months rent. Now, lots of the hotels, especially the Marriott, they do offer as support. They'll help you with the deposit. So they'll give you $800 for the deposit for your rent. You should also budget for your rent and living costs. Now, they try to help you keep these costs down to being at least less than half your salary, depending on the city you're in. If you're in a city like Miami, the housing costs are higher, but they still try to help you find lower cost rental accommodation. Of course, you can also look for accommodation yourself. Travel expenses and meals. So most hotels, if not all, provide meals whilst you're working, but of course, breakfast and dinner, or whichever way your shift goes, you'll have to find the food for yourself. So it's very different to the summer camps because you're basically living the same as you live in Mexico, but you're going to be there. Okay. So here's the program budget. So each placement offers a competitive hourly rate ranging from $14 to $20 per hour of training. Okay, so please note that the J1 rules require a minimum of 32 hours, like I mentioned before. You can have overtime and things too. That's just not guaranteed, but the 32 hours is guaranteed, so you'll know how much money you have every month. And then any extra hours you work will just be a bonus. Applicants. Oh, so to assist applicants with managing your expenses, we've also got a budget sheet that will help you out too. So then you'll be able to budget what you're going to spend, what you can save, what you can spend on traveling around, because you do have 2 days off per week. So you can go on mini vacations. If you're in Miami, the people who enjoy Disney, you can just take a bus trip to Orlando for the day and things like that. So for J1 applicants without on-site housing, they can expect to earn from $2,000 to $2,500 per month, which can help go towards your expenses. And here are the kind of expenses. So like we mentioned before, rentals, housing, your utilities, all of those things. So here, like it says, we will help you with your contracts, reading through your contracts and checking everything is okay. But of course, make sure that you're following all the rules and everything, because if they decide not to give you back your deposit, that's on you as well. So that's just another thing to think about too. It is really important to make sure you check, and if you have any concerns before signing a contract, to make sure that you discuss it with us. I did put this house photo here. Unfortunately, I don't think any of us could live in a beachfront property in Miami right now, but maybe in the future, everybody. Maybe in the future that can be everyone's house. So here we've got the meals. So while on shift, meals are provided by the host sites. But again, you should budget for your meals. The sponsorship do encourage, if you're living with friends, you're living with people that you work with, maybe you can come up with some kind of routine, like you cook this day and that day, just to help even more with the cultural exchange part, because you might not be living with other people from Mexico. You can be living with people from all over the world. We also have to budget in transportation. So you're not going to live right next to your job, but having a look at where you're planning to live and how far it will take you, how long it will take you to get to work. You can also budget in how much it will cost for buses. I don't know, trains. I don't know if they have trains in Florida. Maybe trains, buses, or if you're going to walk, maybe get a bicycle. Whichever way, you also need to think about that too. into your budget. Just the basic things that we all think about already when we go to work, like where will I live? What will I eat? How will I get there? It's just very different to the summer camps. So that's why we're kind of clarifying it for everyone, because you won't be living on site unless you choose one of the on-site jobs. And at the end, I'm going to go through the jobs that are available right now as well. So like mentioned, you have 2 days off per week. You'll have 30 days after the end of the program as well. So you can have 30 days to travel around, and hopefully you'll have some money saved up to be able to do that if you'd like to. Like I mentioned before, it's really important that you know this is something that you want to do. You don't just decide to apply just to apply for it, because with the sponsorship that we're working with, they're very strict on refunds, okay? So if you decide to like cancel your placement before they send you any visa forms, they will still retain that $750 of what you've paid. And if your visa gets cancelled or denied for any reason, that they will also keep a retainer of $1,500. Now, everybody who's been to the summer camps already, there should be no reason that they will deny your visa, but that's just something that you have to think about too. And like mentioned before, the $200 charged after your initial screening is just to make sure that you're serious about the program. And that's it from me. I don't know if Alberto wanted to add anything before we go to any questions.
Hola, ¿qué tal, chicos? Buenas noches. Decidimos hacer básicamente la presentación en inglés, ya que sí se requiere un nivel de inglés alto para este programa. Este sponsor que estamos promocionando es diferente al anterior. Algunos que estuvieron la semana pasada les comentaba que sí, los precios son más altos en el anterior, pero ustedes tienen que encontrar la empresa y tienen que encontrar también el lugar donde quedarse, donde rentar. Entonces es un poquito más difícil, ya que ustedes se encargan de todo ese tipo de trabajo. Ahora, aquí con este sponsor, básicamente les provee los trabajos. Y, Holly, did you show the list of the jobs available?
No, let me show it now to everybody. So here are the lists. So for example, at the Ritz-Carlton, they have many positions in Miami. For example, they want people who can start in December or November for 12 months, who can work in food and beverage or culinary. And they offer $800 housing assistance after your first payment and meals on duty. You just need to be an intern or trainee. Or in Miami, a 5-star inclusive resort, they have 2 positions that they need to fill as soon as possible. One in rooms, one in culinary, and they pay $19.50 per hour. And they offer meals on duty. We have a lot more ASAP ones, which again, provide from the Hilton, which have housing on site, which they need to hire people ASAP, and they pay $15 per hour. So you see how the salary is a little bit less, but that's because you have housing on site and they charge you $80 per week and your meals on duty. So that's another really good option for people who are a bit nervous about maybe renting somewhere. So they do have places with housing on site. The salary is just a little bit lower to cover those costs. So yeah, they've got some which are available as soon as possible, some for December, they've got some for May. These are added to all the time. They've got one in South Carolina for December, and it's got housing on site, and they deduct $80 per week. Now this one, the salary is just $13.50, which is a big difference to $19.50. But again, in this one, you're living in South Carolina, which is a lot cheaper than living in Miami. So you also can take those things into consideration too, whilst you're thinking about what kind of placement you would like. And any other ones? And they have others that are available from early 2024 as well. And I just wanted to show as well, actually, these are the training programs. So for example, when you arrive, the first 14 days, you're going to have orientation. This is for people who are in front of house positions. So you have your orientation. Then for the first 3.5 months, you're going to train on the front desk. After that, you're going to focus on reservations for 2 months, then guest services for 2 months, then front desk lead for 4 months. So you're not just going to be in one place for the whole time. You're going to be in lots of different positions because it is a training program. So it's there to help train you for whatever job you'd like to come back to, probably in a hotel or hospitality or whatever position you're looking for. So they train you in lots of different areas. So think of this also as like a learning experience because part of it is the training program as well. Yeah.
Yep, perfecto. Muchas gracias, Holly. Pues chicos, como pueden ver la diferencia de este nuevo sponsor, aquí los ayudamos en básicamente colocarlos ya con la empresa y también los apoyan con la renta de los lugares. Ahora, si ustedes tienen familia en el lugar en el que puedan aplicar el trabajo, ustedes pueden estar allí sin ningún problema. Nada más tienen que notificarnos dónde van a estar para que así nosotros podamos tener la información completa del lugar. Esta es una gran oportunidad, honestamente, para los chicos que están en el área de turismo, lo que es hotelería, los que están allá por Quintana Roo, trabajando para los parques turísticos, para el Hotel Xcaret, pueden aplicar para este tipo de programas. Como les comentaba Holly, en resumen, el intern es para aquellos que están estudiando y están a punto de graduarse, y el trainee es para aquellos que no tienen título, pero tienen 5 años de experiencia, pueden aplicar, o tienen título y como mínimo 1 año de experiencia en el área para que puedan aplicar. Los sueldos son bastante buenos. Está también la oportunidad de quedarse de 6 a 12 meses. Entonces, créanme que es una gran oportunidad. Van a aprender mucho y tienen la oportunidad de en el futuro aplicar para algo más fijo con la empresa, ¿vale? Si tienen alguna duda, por favor, nos pueden preguntar ahorita. Aquí tenemos a Holly, que es la experta en el tema, y aprovechamos a que nos ayude a responder algunas preguntas, ¿vale?
Oh, yes, unknown. Shannon?
Yeah, Holly, just for be clear, so did you say something about the company can give you like a house if you pay a little bit more? But did you say something about Florida? They can give you a house, or it depends on the company?
It depends on the hotel. So some hotels offer housing, but the salaries are lower. And then other hotels, they don't offer housing, but the salary is a few dollars extra per hour as well. And we do have a hotel in South Carolina right now that offers housing, but it pays like $5 less or $6 less per hour. So you kind of have to calculate the costs depending on where it is. We do have hotels across the country, but most of them are in Miami, which is why they're really interested in Spanish speakers right now.
Thank you.
Tony?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So I was wondering about, because you mentioned something about to start the project is about $2,000. So I was wondering, like, so that money cover what? Like, is just the visa, or what is that? What does that cover about?
So that's what we saw earlier. So what it covers. That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry. So what it covers.
Oh, there you go.
What's included? So it covers the documentation that you need, the DS form. It also covers your insurance, the travel insurance, and it also provides how they'll help support you with housing and things like that to find housing. Also 24/7 emergency support. a lot of the money goes towards the sponsorship fees because they have to pay to the US embassy the sponsorship fees for the J1 visas. So it's just that those visas are a lot more expensive. And with the sponsorship that we're working with, you also have to, part of that fee goes towards them for finding the placement as well. So like Alberto mentioned in the last meeting, there are like cheaper options, but they don't include the jobs. So then you have to find the jobs yourselves, which is possible. You can do that yourselves. Sometimes some people would prefer that, to pay less and find the positions themselves, and other people feel more comfortable paying a little bit extra but having that kind of job security. It also includes having like training with the sponsors before your interview with the hotels, so they'll help you with that. And also because they come up with a program for you to be training whilst you're there. So that training program is also included in the fee. It's kind of almost like, well, it is an internship, like when you go somewhere for training on the job. And I believe you get like a certificate at the end as well that you'll be able to have.
Thank you. And I have another question. So we were working with CAMSAT USA as a platform between America and Mexico. So now we're just working with you guys. Like, you're gonna be the only agency between us.
Could you say that again, Tony? It's just breaking up a little bit.
Yeah. So basically, we were working with CAMSAT USA as a platform between Mexico and America. But right now, I was wondering, like, who's gonna be the one in the middle? Like, it's just you guys, or?
Yeah. So oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. So it's going to be another company that's based in Europe, but they mostly hire from Asia and Europe right now. And the sponsorship is, well, the sponsor is, so Camp Staff USA work with the sponsor in the US. So you have to be a US company. And then we recruit for Camp Staff USA. So it's going to be the same thing, like we're recruiting for the agency in Europe, and then they connect with the sponsor because they have their company is registered in the US as well. So that's why they're able to work with the sponsor too. But they don't have any recruiters in Mexico right now. So that's why they've teamed up with us, because they're looking for a Mexican company to help recruit for them. Yeah, very exciting. So they mostly hire in Asia and Europe right now. Yeah, so that's why, especially because they have lots of positions in Miami. So they're very excited about having Mexican applicants, because most, if not all, most of you guys can speak Spanish, I assume, you know, so yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Holly.
Yeah, and you'll interview with them as well, with the agency in Europe, so you'll be able to meet the people that you're working with. I had a phone call with the CEO of that company, and he's very, very nice, and he is very excited to meet all of you guys if you apply. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all for me.
Any other questions? No. Alberto, did you want to add anything else?
Chicos, ¿alguna pregunta que tengan? No, no sean tímidos. Puede ser en español, en inglés. No se preocupen. Nico.
Hi guys. So one of the questions that I have now is that if, for example, if I apply for this year, can I do it again the next one, or is just for once?
That's a really good question. So there are options, but most of the time it's normally just 1 year. It's normally just a 1 year program. From my like research and speaking with the agency, they have had people who go more than once, but it's not the norm, because it's a lot more difficult to get the visa a second time. Whereas the first time it's more normal. I don't know the right word for it. That's more common. So the second time you possibly can apply, but it wouldn't be for the same program. So for example, say you applied for this program working in hospitality and hotels. The next time you would have to apply for culinary, for example, for cooking, but then you'd have to have a degree in cooking or 5 years experience in that as well, if that makes sense. So most people wouldn't have the amount of experience needed in both areas. But that's a good question, and I'll try and find a more solid answer for you. But from what I know, it's normally a no for a second time. It's more of a 1 year thing.
Okay, so basically is basically is that you gotta like have a different experience, right?
Yes, yeah. So
Okay,
you'll be,
I got it now.
you'll be there for 1 year, and in that 1 year, you'll have lots of different jobs in the hotel, like lots of different kinds of jobs for different experience. So for example, if you wanted to do cooking, you would have lots of different training in that area. But it's normally just a 1 year program. Yeah. Armando?
Yes, hi. So I have the question: can we alternate between this kind of program and the summer camps? Like maybe, I don't know, we can go to summer camp next year. After that, we can do this program and then come back to the summer camp, and yeah, something like that.
Well, that is an option. Of course, it depends how many times you've gone to the summer camps as well, because with the J1 visa for the summer camps, there's only a certain amount of times that they'll be able, that say Camp Staff USA will want to sponsor you, because they want to give like more people opportunities to have the experience. And for every summer camp, it has to be just like 10% of the people they hire are like 4th or 5th time returners. So it's a lot more competitive to try and get those visas. With this program, it is 12 months. So if you applied to start in December, you wouldn't be able to go to the summer camps 2024 because you'll already be on the J1 intern and trainee visa, if that makes sense. So you couldn't leave the job for 3 months to work in a summer camp. You have to stay there for the whole 12 months. So anybody who applies, you wouldn't be able to go to the summer camp for one of the years because you'll be working the J1 and intern visa.
Okay, yes, but for example, I'm talking about once you finish your contract with the hotel or with this program, and then the next year, will you be able to apply for summer camp or vice versa?
Yeah, so you'll be able to apply for it. You'll be able to apply again for the summer camp, and it will just be the same process as we go through right now. It just might be a little bit more difficult, but it would be the same way if it's like your 3rd, 4th, 5th summer. It's always a little bit harder just to find the visas for people who've been a lot of times. Whereas, and if you've gone for the intern and trainee visa, but it shouldn't be a problem because we've been approved for the visas before. So it should be fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Worries. Any other questions? Like Alberto said, in English or Spanish is fine. I think Alberto mentioned before as well, the reason that we're having the interview in this meeting in English is because the job is going to be in English, the same as the summer camp. So hopefully at this point after the summer, we should all have a strong level of English. But if you have any questions and you want to say it in Spanish, that's absolutely fine. Alberto, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, more than a question, just a comment. Like, for example, yes, you can apply after the trainee or the intern program, and then you can go to a summer camp. Yeah, there is no problem. But for example, Holly was saying like this program is really good, for example, for the people that already apply 4th time or 5th time to a summer camp. So it's always good to like, okay, if you want to try something different, you can try this program. But if after the program, the new one, the trainee one, you want to go back to the summer camps, yeah, that's possible. But like Holly was saying, like sometimes the agencies are like, okay, this is your 5th time, and it's gonna be harder for you to get a visa because you're gonna go to a waiting list in comparison when it's your first time in a summer camp. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, it's about like how you develop in the job, because I see many friends that after working in a place, the company likes so much how they work, and then they can offer you a different kind of visa. Like, I want you like to work here so you can apply for a different kind of visa, an H2B or something, and then like they can hire you. I'm not saying like that's gonna happen, but in some places that happen. Last year, a guy applied to a water rafting park. He liked it. The company liked him too, and then they offer him an H2B visa. So it's just like depending on how you work and how's the company. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, and also the company we're working with, the sponsorship, they are looking at expanding and working with hotels in England and Scotland and other places in Europe as well. So if they were saying they're wanting to grow too. So like how we want to grow from just summer camps to offering you guys other opportunities. They're also looking at expanding their opportunities. So right now they're trying to work on a deal with hotels in the UK and some other places in Europe as well that can offer similar visas. So if you come back from your 1-year intern and trainee visa in the States, hopefully it might be possible that you can then apply to do it in the UK or some other places in Europe as well. So that's something exciting. They're trying to grow into more programs too. So hopefully that will be nice for everyone. Tony, did you have another question?
Yes. So first of all, I'm really excited about the things that you mentioned about UK, but that's not my question. So I have two questions. So the first one is if you guys gonna send the list of the places that right now are offering or hiring. And my second question is what is my question? Just a second. What's my other question? Oh, so how many about how many interviews are we gonna get into to get those jobs?
Yeah. So the first one will be with us. That's more to see if you're qualified, just to check that you have like the experience that's needed. And then once you do that, you have the interview with the agency, kind of the Camp Staff USA of this program. And they'll kind of do a screening. Now, after their screening, if you pass that screening, that's when you pay the $200 and they start the process for you, where they find the hotels and things that will match best with you. They'll help you with training for your interview for the hotel. So once you've passed that interview, it's more like training and making sure you have everything for your interview with the hotel. And then if you pass the interview with the hotel, that's it. So the one with us is very casual. It's just making sure that you can do the program. Once you've done that, you'll have that initial interview with the agency. And if that goes well, it's your interview with the hotel. But like I mentioned, they're going to help train you for that interview. So then you'll be more prepared for the kind of questions they ask, things like that.
Perfect. Thank you.
No worries. And Armando, did you have another question?
Oh no, sorry. I just pressed the wrong button.
No worries. No worries. Does anybody else have any questions about the program? No. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on WhatsApp or Alberto. So, and if you're interested in the program, please let me know because I'm meeting with the agency on Thursday. That's why I wanted to have it on Monday so you guys can think about if you're interested or not. And then when I talk with them on Thursday, I can kind of be like, oh, I have for people who are interested, this is all their experience. How do you want to proceed from here? Nico?
Well, this is not a question, but can you share this information and the PDF or any link?
Yeah, so I'll send you
And-
guys. Oh, yeah.
And also, if you have the link to see the video again, just if I miss any information about it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll send the recording to the group, to the WhatsApp group chat, and I'll also send a copy of the presentation to the group chat as well. And if you're interested, message me and I can send you all of the information that way as well. And Alberto can send it to you in Spanish as well, so that you make sure that you definitely understand everything too. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds so great. Thank you.
Perfect. Any more questions before we finish? No. I know it might be a bit overwhelming. It's a lot of information and in English. So don't worry, I'll send you the PDF and the video calls, okay? So you can process it. Alberto, did you want to add anything else before we finish?
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. If you have any question, please feel free to message me anytime, and I will be happy to help you. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, excellent, everyone. Now I've gone into my teacher mode of how to end the call. Thanks for coming, everyone, and I hope to speak to some of you that are interested soon. Okay. Cool.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Alberto.
Thanks, guys. Bye,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good Monday evening. Bye. 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 Bye.